Hi guys, my name is Tyagi and I welcome you to RapidLeaks. Today we have a very special guest with us, Tanvi Singla, the empowering figure, empowering so many brands around her, so many names around her, courtesy an interesting brand which is called Tanvi Singla. Um, at a time where in life we need coaches, mentors, gurus, and whatnot, sometimes it's very important to understand the relevance and meaning of a strategic intervention coach. You can't be sick of this SIC because it's something which you really need in life. And to understand the depth of it, we couldn't have had a better strategic intervention coach than Tanvi Singla herself. So, Tanvi, welcome to Rapid Leaks. How
Thank
are
you,
you
Dave.
today?
Couldn't be better. We've been planning to make this happen forever, and I'm glad this is finally happening
Yeah, and that too in 21st century. Yeah, that,
on the 21st of September.
yeah, interesting, interesting. So, Tanvi, let me begin by asking you the first and the most relevant question, which I have been thinking about. What is Tanvi Singla all about, and why do we need a strategic intervention coach?
Well, they're two different questions, so I'll deal with the first one. What is Tanvi Singla all about? There are too many facets to Tanvi Singla that I've kind of nurtured in the last 3 decades. But today, I'm a culmination of all my experiences, which have led me to the path. Uh, I'm just a person seeking to, make another person see, feel seen, and the strategic intervention is why is it important today? Predominantly, my work revolves around youth. So, if you look at the kind of suicide rates that are going through the roof, India records the second highest mortality rate in terms of suicide in youth. Strategic interventionist, I can come in and I help, youth to realize how do you build resilience in terms of dealing with real life. How do you go into life with not looking at life in a linear manner? So that's exactly why just strategic intervention coaching is necessary in today's world, uh, to be aware of who you are and how do you overcome the hurdles that are coming into your life.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you've been a working professional for nearly a decade. But when did this need, this hunger come in you that you had to start Tanvi Singla? The concept behind the personality behind the strategic intervention program that you're running. When did that
To be
happen?
honest, it just sounds so wrong when you keep saying Tanvi Singla is a brand. To be just clear about it, in the last 3.5, 4 years of me working as a strategic interventionist, I haven't gone on to register a company that would work under one umbrella. So I worked predominantly with a lot of athletes, with Olympians, with entrepreneurs. So individually, I've been working with a lot of clients that didn't where I didn't feel the need to to register one brand as such. So just to kind of clarify, but now where I'm in a space where I'm actively looking at integrating my programs at university level and school level, I think there's a big need for me to register a company, which doesn't sound like Tanvi Singla because it's just so funny when it sounds like that. But to answer your question, Dave, yes, I started working when I was 16 years of age, and I literally started modeling and being in the entertainment industry so that I could put a roof over my head. My mom said, "I'm going to cover your tuition fee, and then you have to figure out everything else after." And fortunately, in the last 10 years, I've had a run in some of the most lucrative industries in the world. That can be private equity, real estate, luxury real estate, or a tech startup, or working
Right.
for, just various different organizations. And the commonality between all of these professions was people, my love for people. And
You are a
uh,
people-oriented person from the little I know of you.
yeah, I love people. I'm very intrigued by how people, what moves people, and what is the driving determinant that defines a person's success, or more than success, fulfillment, right?
Right.
So that kind of a tip, I think somewhere within me, I knew I was going to be in the training and the service space. But you have to climb a few staircases to get that vantage point to know that, okay, this is where I want to be. So once having worked with the private equity firm, and then when I was working with luxury real estate, I was working with I was dealing with that 1% of the creme de la creme. And when I was working with the private equity firm, because I was doing a lot of primary research, I literally did ground level work with everyone you can imagine. So I say that working from bellboy, like talking to bellboys to billionaires, the one common aspect I figured out was there were only so many needs that people were trying to meet. And right when I was trying to find the answers to the questions that were arising, I stumbled upon this gentleman called Tony Robbins and was completely moved by what he was doing. So without any further research, I just enrolled for his program and then was completely fascinated by what he did. So I ended up going to his research institute in Santa Barbara just to learn everything he knows. And that kind of changed my life. And because I struggled through hurdles most people can't even imagine, because for someone who values freedom a lot, that was taken away from me. And for me to have come back the way I have, I do credit largely to my education of behavioral science. And that's exactly what led to it. And I think I'm still at a very nascent stage of this legacy I'm going to leave behind as a person. What that's what I want to say. I hope I answered the question.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know that, whenever you see yourself in the mirror, you see a self-confident, self-reliant, empowered, and a beautiful woman. But where do you see tanvisingla.com and your program in 5 years from now, or let's say 3 years from now?
Wow, that's actually an amazing question, because right now I'm like staring at the vision board right in front of me, which you can't see. I recently made. And I want to have impacted and touched at least about 500,000 youth in the country. That's a really small number. 5 years. That's
given the fact that we are a country which can be very proud of the way it populates, it's still a good number. So I want you.
I'm just looking at if I break it down, that's about 100,000 people, 100,000 youth a year, and because I've developed this program, which is capacity, which helps capacity building in university level and school level, with self-awareness and with resilience building, with authenticity building. That's where I see, I think in 5 years, first, the most beautiful thing is if I would have impacted at least 500,000 youth. And at least we know that suicide rates are decreasing in the youth population. And even if I know that in the little work in 5 years, I leave a youth that is resilient, most importantly, for this country and the world.
Why do we need resilience in our careers, Tanvi? Explain it to me like a 4-year-old. Why does the youth need resilience?
Okay, why do you and I need resilience? Okay. I wake up in the morning. Okay. We all wake up in the morning, and there is every source of information that comes to you and me. That can be in story form, that can be in content form, that can be in narrative of how you expect life to happen. Okay. We all have a blueprint of how your day should go, how your year should go, how your life should go. Okay. But as we know, life is never linear. Life never, or most of the times, will not give you what you expect of it. So in those instances, how do you know that life is not happening to you, it's happening for you? What you see of your day is coming from a limited perspective of where you're standing. And the hurdle and the thing that is presenting to you is actually that infinite possibility that is hoping to kind of unravel with you. That's one of the most important things. Very funny that you asked this, because I remember one of my friends who was just traveling from America. He woke up one day, he's like, he hates monsoons, and one of these days he came in and just woke up to this mad monsoon morning. I said, Tanvi, this is crazy. I came in summer and this is Bombay and it's raining. I'm like, yeah, well, this is what it is. And he walked down. I live in Colaba, so just walked down and went to Causeway. You won't believe it. He saw this girl. He's mad, like loves the brown skin, loves the Indianness of Indian women. So he saw this girl like getting drenched in the rain, and he just followed her full filmy style, and fell in love with her. Followed her, flew her back to America. So yeah, I mean, it's a hurdle that presented itself, but it was also an opportunity that was waiting to explore. That's exactly why resilience is important, just to build muscle. Yeah.
So when somebody enrolls for your program, so
Yeah.
just for the viewers and listeners who are tuning in for us to break it down, what are the set of programs that they can expect to be part of, and how do you go about it? So what's the module like?
Okay. So currently, having worked with so many athletes and Olympians and entrepreneurs in the last 4 years, I've developed a program. It's very tough, number one, to make a program, but the program predominantly is called Self-E, where we're physically all taking selfies. So the program is designed for 14 to 24-year-olds, and where the E in the Self-E stands for evaluate, evolve, and execute. It's a three-legged program spread across 3 months, which is being delivered. Each is being delivered at 3 hours. In 3 hours, what you could expect in the program is, number one, at this moment, the program is fine-tuned to integrate a university and school level so that the youth, whoever is experiencing it, can know the skills they have within them, and along with them they are handheld and given strategies that they can use when things present to them, which they're not expecting, which help them actively to build resilience and to help just even discover authenticity, because they're still struggling with the new identities that are being formed, and there's a lot of hormonal changes that are happening. So the Self-E program predominantly is sowing seeds of resilience so that those seeds can become and sprout into full-fledged trees in real life.
So water them plants, one day they will become trees, giving shadows to everyone and shade of cover and comfort. So I was saying water them plants so that they will become tree one day, and then they will be giving shade to everyone around.
Absolutely.
Brilliant, brilliant. So what have been the challenges as an organization? Because you're a startup, if I could call you that. Yeah. What have been the challenges to come to this point in time from scratch?
So other than my own personal challenges, just personally, once I went on to studying the behavioral, the program I went on to study and came back, I had a lot of personal hurdles myself with being diagnosed with a mental illness myself. That was really threw me off completely my path. And we're all on a timeline, at least we think we're on a timeline. So when that happens, you're like, okay, this is what I thought, this much I was going to accomplish. I've completely fallen off the bandwagon. How do I come back on the, how do I come back in the race again? So that was something which was my personal struggle. But having navigated it as a business, one of the main things I think that's been a concern is just getting my foot in the door with universities and schools. And one thing I don't understand is every time I speak to a school and a college, the main concern is time. They tell me that students don't have time. How do we integrate this program because they don't have time? I don't know how is that possible that students don't have time? So one of the main concerns for me has been, and there is no talking through it, right? Like if you're telling me, okay, we can't afford your services, or this is inapplicable, I can maneuver around that question. But when you come to me with, my students don't have time, how do we integrate your program in the syllabus? That's something that is very hard to, because then it kind of gestation just becomes longer, and it kind of takes the fun out of the game a little bit for me.
Right. So it's just a thought, and I'm just probably thinking aloud here. everybody radiates some kind of an energy. You radiate a vibe of positivity and a go-getter attitude. I'm not sugarcoating here. I've returned the 11 rupees which I borrowed from you in my in last year, so I would not sugarcoat. But to be honest, I think the youth also emits a certain kind of energy, especially in this country. And this is the Tinder loving tender youth I'm talking about, whose keywords are emojis, hashtags, Insta, and whatnot. And I think one of the vibes that they emit is perhaps a loss of sense of direction, or rather not finding that sense of direction. And it's funny, I should say that, because if you were to reverse the order of words in the phrase time, it becomes emit. So everybody's emitting some kind of an energy. So do you think that the youth needs a sense of direction, and this program can actually help them gather that?
I don't necessarily think that youth is directionless. I don't necessarily think
I'm
that.
not saying directionless, but some of the youth, they need to get a sense of direction.
Yeah, that's all of us. I mean, some we all can do with a little bit of direction when we're just about, uh, maneuvering the waters. But I think predominantly with this generation, they're thrown in with a lot of changes,
Right.
and they don't have necessarily a role model to look at. This is the right thing to do. Okay, for example, when you go into a household and you're sitting on a dinner table and your young adult is on the phone on the dining table, and the mother says, "Hey, stop being on the phone, stop being on social media." Uh, we don't have alternatives. Why should the, even if, for example, because the phone, because your multimedia which is being integrated, your education, your social media, and everything is integrated on your phone, right? So I just feel one of the main things with this generation is there's so many changes that they're being thrown at, but nobody, they don't know what is the right thing to do. And nor do I. I'm not saying that I know what the right thing to do is, but what I want for young adults today is just knowing that the issues that are coming to them are really small. You need to build like stronger muscles to be able to, like, you not having an iPhone can't be your biggest problem in
Well said.
life. That can't be your biggest problem in life. And not having 300 likes on your Instagram can't be something that leads you to, like locking yourself in the bathroom and just not eating and creating a freaking hysterical expression in your. So that is just the concept of reality is really warped. That's one of my major things, that it's coming from a place of complete unawareness of what is real and what is not. And I can say this for you and me, Dave, despite us having the grounding we have, even we sometimes we question like what is real and what's not today.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Like, I always question my existence on a weekly basis. It's like my career is like the receding hairline of Mr. Anupam Kher, rather, which isn't even receding. And I love him
but
as an actor.
if you look
But
at it genuinely, like even we writing something today, we measure you won't measure the quality of your article based on literally the quality of the article, of what journalism you've done, versus today the success of an article is measured by how many people have viewed it, how many eyes have gone through it, how many
and what's the
advertisements,
duration spent on reading it? Yeah.
what duration is spent, how much advertising money people want to spend on it. So I just feel like with so many things changing around us, this young generation is really looking for a leader to show them the path, that this is the right thing to do, and this is not, and this is what is most optimized, and this is not. So, yeah.
Okay, now what I'm going to say might seem like a direct advertisement or promotion, but I care to hoots because it's for a constructive cause. What is your message to the young leaders in the making around you? Why should they join the program, and what can you help them achieve?
With young leaders, the program allows you to know who you are, and tap into the strongest aspect of you and anchor it whenever the leader and the young youth needs to. And it helps you build nerves of steel, which is most important. And know that you don't need permanent solutions to temporary problems, and you can find permanent solutions. Like, you can be the permanent solution yourself. So that's what the program does. And yeah.
Right. Is there a particular question which I might have missed, which you think I should ask, so that we can have this as a well-rounded discussion?
No, like you rightly said. I mean, like you said, I'm at such a nascent stage in this trajectory of my career, this career itself, that, and I like the rest of the young adults, I don't have a leader to look up to, because there is no path that's led. I'm
I'm
literally
still taller than you, so you could
I'm
try.
I'm walking the path less walked, in that.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just about going to figure out. I don't necessarily have the question that you'd, but I definitely, this is going to be my uh, milestone interview, because I'm going to mark this from here on is going to be that trajectory that goes on. Because literally 4 months ago was when the program was created. Selfie program was created, and every time I ran it, I had fantastic testimonials where they were so moved that they wanted to incorporate it as a. Most people I ran it with, they were super super impressed. So because it's such a nascent program itself, I just hope, and I know that it takes a life of its own. Every time you run a program, it's dynamic. Based on the learning outcomes, you incorporate new changes to the program that allows you to make it a more well-rounded program. So I'm at a very nascent stage in the startup where I am. Uh, I just hope that you have always been a supporter of whatever I do, and I'll give you enough
Pleasure,
reason
Tanvi.
to be proud of. And this interview is going to be worth it in the coming years, because just it's a good marking point to know in 5 years that I've touched and impacted 500,000 lives. That's going to be one of the most important things I take back. Yeah.
Very happy that RapidLeaks is a part of this journey, and that's one of the things. And it's kind of a shout out to RapidLeaks and people who supported us. That we've always believed in creating authentic content in an age which is siding with clickbait and basically what I call garbage journalism. Because we are in an age where people want to know where Anushka and Virat partied, not the struggles which took Virat Kohli to where he is today. And I don't mean the overgrown facial hair, but the batting brilliance. So yeah, so that's one of the things about RapidLeaks, that we're always very keen to interact with people who are doing something different from the mundane 9 to 6 existence. And not that 9 to 6 existences don't define people, but there
Yeah.
has to be some daredevilry, some courage to take the path less trodden, which you have taken so remarkably. And I wish you all the success.
Thank
RapidLeaks
you,
joins
Dave.
me in
Thank
wishing you all the
you.
success.
One question actually comes to me very, very quickly. You asked me a question based on what led me to stumble upon this journey. And the one thing is that when I was diagnosed with a mental illness, despite having most resources one would consider in India at my disposal, I wasn't able to find uh, good quality mental health services and experts at my disposal. And when I went on to researching further, the major gap in the facilities that is necessary for mental health support is so high in our country. That was actually one of the main reasons that led me to pursue, and just the intent of being able to create a prevention strategy. I've always been, my mom always tells me prevention is better than cure. So that was one of my primary motives to get into this loop of creating young, resilient youth so that they don't fall into this category of absolutely, like when they're grown ups, that they know at least how do you deal with life. So one of the main reasons was the idea of making the program, creating and working and studying behavioral science came from the fact that what can I do? Let me go educate myself. Let me build a program that will help build resilience in youth by capacity building and prevention strategy. That was one of the main reasons, and yeah, just wanted to kind of integrate that quickly.
I'm glad you took this path, and I wish you all the success. And it's been a pleasure interacting with you again, for a great cause, because your program is essentially for a very constructive cause. The time for which has come. We can't delay it. I hope the youth realize it. I'm sure they do realize it, and I hope
They
that you
do.
are in stupendous success, because that's what you truly deserve. My message to those who have listened in and who will hopefully also is that we need individuals like Tanvi, because at a time where she could have been just about anybody in the reality space, in the world of modeling, in the sphere of creativity, tech entrepreneurship, she's decided to become a strategic intervention coach. Um, I won't say it's an unsung sphere, because it is still developing, it is still shaping up. And I'm very proud of the fact that we have youngsters like her around in the country who are taking the candid steps to form it, to shape it, to eventually become the structure which it will become. And I hope it is lankier than the Empire State's building, or whatever, the Dubai structures. And in terms of efficacy, because that's important. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, for listening in, and please follow us on YouTube. We are RapidLeaks,
Yes, please
rapidleaks.com,
follow.
and follow tanvisingla.com. Yeah, that would be awesome. Super. Bye,
Thank
Tanvi.
you.
Thank you for joining in. Bye.